I don't know what the song says, but I remember Buenos Dias. Yes. Oh, I'm telling you, I have this thing here, but I hardly use it because I'm scared. I'm gonna cut off my finger. Why did I buy it? This is safer. Good morning. Good morning. But anyway, I'm gonna get started. We are doing our soup today. Caribbean, however you call it. I have the oven on. I am gonna roast the squash because I find that I like the way squash tastes much better when I roast it. So, yes. Okay. Yep, these two knives are the best for me. So, good morning. Yes, yes, yes. I am here and we are going to be prepping for our soup. Buenos dias, Deborah. Buenos dias. You know, it's still fall, so soups are like the best thing. And depending on how you make them, they're very healthy, right? And you can get a lot of, you know, of your food groups in there. You know, you get plenty of veggies, and you get, if you put tomatoes, you're getting some fruits in there, and you ladle them with lots of oil and stuff and fatty stuff. So today I am using fish, the catfish. I went to the store the other day because I'm like, oh, I gotta get more catfish. Good morning, Carol. I gotta get more catfish. And then I opened the thing and I had another catfish steak or fillet in there. So I'm good for a couple of weeks. I don't have to go to the store to get more fish. How are you ladies doing? I'm doing perfect. Excellent, blessed, and highly favored. Every day I wake up, I look up and I say, thank you, God. You know, the heaviness and concern, and it's still there. It's never not there. But I'm able to balance it out. And I say when you are trying to keep yourself from going down that abyss, the abyss, you know, of worry and sadness and, you know, feeling, oh boy, here we go again, going down the same route again, you know, because you're dealing with mankind. That's never going to go away. So the sooner you realize that, the better off you're going to be. And unfortunately, you have to be diligent at keeping yourself in that mind frame. And every time you feel like you're going too deep into, good morning, Jackie, going down that path, you gotta bring yourself back up and say, oh, no, sis, we cannot go down that path. But anyway, today in Panama is what we call Dia de los Muertos, Dia de los Difuntos. That means we difuntos. Nurse Clayton, hi, how are you? So we are celebrating or remembering those who have passed, right? I posted something, I think it's in the chat, showing a picture of me and my mom when I was maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5, holding a doll. This is one of my favorite pictures of me and my mom. And my mom passed about 10 years ago, and I think what I remember about her that makes me sad sometimes is that my mom, you know, she had not a nice childhood, but what I come to realize, you know, as the mental health person, is that if you haven't developed skills to go beyond the hurt, what was done to you, then you let it affect the rest of your life. You have not succeeded. When you can rise above all the terrible things that happened to you, and you become a conqueror, you become a, you know, somebody who is thriving, that's when you have conquered. But I don't think my mom was ever that. She carried that with her throughout her whole life. Oh, woe is me. That did this person did that. And you know what? I feel that when you do that, it keeps you from truly enjoying the good things, because it's a matter of perspective and choice. You have to get to a point to see, you know what? Yes, you acknowledge, and that's what therapy does for you. It lets you peel off the layers, getting in that hurt and say, "Oh, that was horrible." But then you realize, I have to get out of it. I have to go above that. I have to go beyond that, and that's when you thrive. Okay. I remember when I was struggling in my marriage years ago, I went to see my pastor, and people would say, "Oh, the pastor will do counseling." Give me a break. Some of them are not trained to do that, because all they do is make you feel guilty about everything that's happening, threatening you with the fire and brimstone. And it's like, that's not what I need right now. And so this person, was dealing with some stuff. And then the pastor would say, "Well, sis, the Bible says, the Bible says." Well, that's not going to help you get over what is trying to destroy you, right? So you have to learn the skill that says, yes, this happened to me, but this will not break me. This does not define me. And it's a matter of the will. I'm not going to allow this situation to win. I will be the conqueror. I will get above that. And let me tell you, this is the grit, right? Yes. So I feel bad that my mom, and I wasn't in a position at that time to help her. Good morning, Greta. ¿Cómo está mi amiga? I wasn't in a position to, my parents were divorced, and that's another thing. Children of divorce, oh my God, the church would tell you, "Oh, you are going to be the worst kids and you're going to suffer, you're going to be home forever." Bull. All right? Society, let me tell you, if you don't break free from what society tells you, you're going to be caught in that web of despair, of feeling less than, that you're never going to amount to anything. I refuse to believe like that. You're a victim only if you allow yourself to be. Only if you allow yourself to be. If you allow those people who call themselves experts, some of these counselors, call themselves experts, but they have nothing to help you with. They don't have the skills, because it's all gloom and doom. Now, when I read about this woman, I think she was from Vietnam or one of those Asian countries. She had been trafficked since the age of, I think she was 7 or 8. You know what they say? You go to one of those markets somewhere in the East, and then they have guys, those people who are just looking for little kids. So if you're walking with your daughter and you don't have your hand on her and the kid is looking, and that's how they snatch them. When they snatch them, they traffic them, right? This is squash, yes ma'am. It's squash, not pumpkin. That's what I was saying earlier. People call them squash, but this is pumpkin, but this is squash. So she was snatched like that. And some of them are just given to those, I don't know what you even call these people, these nasty people, men who are buying children from unsuspecting poor families and say, "Oh, you don't have enough money to feed her. I'll take her off your hand." And they take the kid and they traffic her, having her be used sexually by some depraved, old, degraded, yucky old man. And then she said she was trafficked for years like that. And so this is another thing. So something that horrible, I can't even think about it. Here in Jamaica, it's not a pumpkin. Oh, okay. But that's what I thought, I'm Haitian. And we make a soup on January 1st for Independence Day, our Independence Day. And we use that. So when I came to the US, we were calling pumpkin soup. But I realized, when I see pumpkin from, Halloween, I'm like, no, that's not a pumpkin. But anyway, We're not gonna get caught in what you call it, but we call ours jumu, jumu, jumu. But anyway, so this lady, I mean, if you are someone who's being trafficked, I mean, I can't even imagine the amount of grit that it would take for you, you know, to get beyond that. But this young woman did that. While she was being used and abused and sexually violated day in and day out, you know, with the what do you call it, the pimps and whatever you want to call these people, she looked for ways to escape. And because she had it in her mind that that situation was not going to define her, she was able to escape. And once she escaped, then she became committed to helping other little girls get out. And she wrote a book. And I remember sitting there and watching her being interviewed and being totally in awe and inspired by this woman who was able to rise above a horrible situation. And this is the kind of grit that it takes for you to survive in this crazy world. Like what's happening right now. They want to break our spirit and make us feel less than. Well, you know, as a people, we have refused to be less than. And that's what I say. They've been trying to kill us for centuries. But we're like, we will not die. We're still here. So that's what I want to encourage you to do this morning. Is just decide for yourself. And I think one other thing I was thinking today, and I'm like, you know, the act of wanting everybody to like you or to say good things about you, well, hopefully you've gotten to an age to realize this is just utopia, right? That not everybody is going to like you. Especially if you're in any kind of leadership position. And you don't have to have a title. You don't have to have a title to be a leader. And I've been a leader my whole life. I mean, that's just the way I am. And I'm not saying this because I'm conceited or whatever. But some of us are born with certain abilities, right? Like I said, I can cook, I can sing, I can be creative, I can do a lot of other things. But what God has given me, I think that would be a false sense of humility to say I don't have that, right? Yeah. And if you think I'm showing off or whatever, well, sis, that's your opinion. It's got nothing to do with me. So when you are in a situation and you are growing up, you are in these awful work situations. If you're expecting, and especially if you're in a leadership position, you know, like me as a supervisor or head nurse, and then Northerner, and then as a business owner, you know, you're hiring people. You do the best you can to vet people. I used to use I'm putting a little bit of olive oil because I'm out of herb oil today. Ooh, I know that's bad. But I have not really been cooking for myself. When I finish here on Sundays, I don't cook the rest of the week. I don't. But anyway, I would do the best that I could to vet those people. So I would do the disc profile. I would assess their temperament, make sure that I put them in the correct position, right? It's like if you have someone like myself who is kind of an introvert, you don't want to put me in a sales position. I won't do well because I don't like to be around people that much all the time. And all the chatter gets me like this. That's why I don't go to those social events. I'm sitting there looking at 20, 30 people chit-chatting, saying nothing, and I'm like, ooh, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. Nothing against those who feel they want to be around people. I don't like crowds. I don't. And I get to a point where I'm like, well, this is me. I don't need to explain myself to you. If you invite me and I'm like, oh, that's okay, sis, I'll pass. Thank you. Have fun. You have to be okay with that without passing judgment on me. And if you do, again, it's on you, sis. Got nothing to do with me. Not at all. So I remember sometimes this is like adobo. There were people who would be truly ugly to me. Listen, imagine Having to fire people, that is one of the hardest things to do in life. Firing people is tough. They make it personal. And you know what happens in the US? People fire people and they come back and they blow the whole place up. This is a risk that we, as business owners, used to say it was always in the back of our mind. Now somebody could go postal, we used to call it, right? So, okay, so I had the, let's talk about our soup when I come back to the chat. If I remember where I was. If I say, what was I talking about? Just remind me, okay? I'm 67. My mind is not as clear as it used to be. Oh my God. Adiha, would you ever consider putting together a cookbook? I am working on my cookbook right now. Yes, I'm doing it. So many people have asked. Yes, yesterday. I'm still working on the outline. Yes, definitely. And sometimes I just roast them and eat them without putting them in anything. This is going to go in the soup though. I think I have enough. I had but 2 pieces, so I'm not going to use all of it. Excuse me. So I went to the store this morning. I like to go on Sunday. And you know, in Panama today, we cannot have loud music. So I was at the store. I'm glad they opened. And it was all nice and calm music because it's a somber day. It's a day where we remember people who have died. So we cannot be having parties. We cannot be having loud music. And the roads are quiet. People have gone home to the interior. It's going to be a quiet day. Tomorrow we have parades. And Tuesday we have parades. And Wednesday, we're going to be partying. You need to watch my video about that. Anyway, so I went to the store. I decided I'm going to use fish for my meat, for my protein. And like I told you, I found that I had an extra catfish. So we're going to christen my beautiful Dutch oven today. So I'm going to cook the fish in there. The reason I'm using the catfish is because it's got a little bit of body to it, so it's not going to disintegrate in the soup. So I'm going to cook it, and then I'm going to take it out. And I need the bottom, you know, all that spices and stuff that's with it, so I'm going to use that. I got my vegetable broth. I remembered to take it out of the freezer yesterday. So we're going to have carrots. I bought some celery, apio. That's what we call celery. Baston de apio. Apio is celery. I was able to find some radishes. They call it rabano. This is not something I use a lot. But here, these are the small ones, but I've seen them really big. Rabano. And then, I think I was telling you guys, I have a hard time finding green onion. This is as close to green onion that I'm gonna get. They're big or they're really, really small. Nothing in between. Hola, Andrea. And I have some spinach. I can choose to put some spinach in there. I kind of like to have the yellow and the green contrast, so I'm going to do that. Yes, not Swiss chard today, Greta. I was able to find some ahi chumbo, which is, they say Scotch bonnet. I think they're more, what's the other one? It will come to me. But $1.65, so that's not bad. And I like to have those. I feel like if I don't have that, it's like I don't have oil. I'm attached to those. I'm Caribbean. We need hot peppers, okay? So I was able to find some cilantro. You know, I complain a lot that I can't find. I didn't see the price, so I don't know how old it is. But this is the one they tell you can plant it. People say, why don't you grow your own herbs? I don't know. I'll see. I have a black thumb, so I try not to. I had some, I don't know if I'll have room for all of that, but I had a couple of beautiful potatoes. Maybe I'll use one. I bought this thing we call malanga, but they call it, yes, cilantro. I love cilantro. And then it's a type of yam, but it's malanga. I got one. I got one nyame. We call this nyame. This is also a type of white yam. I made a hash with it the other day. Like instead of mashed potato, I mashed it. I put it, you know, and kind of blended it. I like the taste. It was really nice. And you could do that with yuca as well. I didn't buy yuca today. So I'm like, that's a lot. I bought one sweet potato. The sweet potatoes do not look like our sweet potato. This is gonna be white inside. You're gonna see when I it's not yellow. I found a place though where I can buy the yellow one for Thanksgiving. I'm having a Thanksgiving gathering here. The other thing, oh my God, I lost my mind today. I went there and they had these plantains. You know I like them in between green and yellow. Not Maduro. I don't like the really ripe ones. I don't like those. But look at these beauties. Look. Ah! You see, I get excited about stuff like I know, I'm kind of crazy. Look at these. I'm like, oh, I gotta get. Well, now the challenge is, how am I gonna eat those? Because I could cook all these today and eat them, okay? I'm telling you how bad I am about plantain. I am addicted to plantain. Look at that. Look at these beauties by Crocky. Okay, so we got plantains. Maybe I'll use half and put it in there because this is only one pot. We can put a whole lot of stuff in there. And I did get a chayote. You have to have chayote in that soup. And for Nurse Clayton, who's Jamaican, you know we use chayote. And let me get the carrots. And I did have one corn. Corn, what do you call those? Ear of corn. Yes. And carrots. One carrot. So certain things I always have in my fridge. And if I don't, I feel like I'm missing something. Things would be like cilantro, olive oil, thyme, habanero. That's the other word I was thinking. You see, I'm telling you, who's come to me? Habanero, but they call this ají chumbo. But we have a lot of ají, which are peppers, but we have a lot of sweet ones. And here in Panama, they make salsa picante, they call it a hot sauce. They put all the peppers, a lot of ají chumbo, they put onions, I don't know what else. And then they put it in the blender, they blend it all, and then they sell it in the bottles. And then if you go to any restaurant, like, not any, the fondas, which are not mom and pop, but kind of traditional Panamanian food, they'll have a bottle on the table so you can put it on yours, usually on your meat. Those look delicious. I don't know which one, but chocho. Oh, chocho. Is that the ají chumbo? Is that what you call chocho? What is chocho? All right. But anyway, that is the plan. So right now, we need to get our fish cooked. So I'm going to put all this over here. Let me get I have some peppers, but I'm not going to put those in that soup. I'm looking for my thyme, yes. And lots of garlic. You know I'm crazy about garlic, right? I use a lot of garlic. All right, so we're going to put that here, so that I can just, when we finish here and get all my stuff chopped up while I'm cooking the fish. All right, vamos. So yeah, I was talking about, and you know, for my Dutch oven, I had another one, and then it got scratched here, and I was so upset. I don't remember how I did that. But you have to be careful how you clean that. So I have a couple of wooden spoons, and I need to get more of these because they're the safest thing for this. And I talk about all that in my cookbook. In the beginning, I'm talking about managing temperature and because that's how we get sick, with temperature. And then I talk about what you need in your kitchen, really, if you want to be, you know, a simple basic cook. Just like anything else, you need to have certain tools of the trade, right? You know, like your chef's knife. That's the number one thing that you should have. Okay, so we're going to get this, we're going to cut the fish in cubes, right? Ooh, lots of lime. I brought some yesterday. And I think I was telling you guys that they use a lot of oranges here, and they call them limon. But we do have yellow lemons. When I first got here, it took me about a month or two to find them, but they do have them here. So we're going to get our catfish. Woo! And you know what? Here it is. Isn't that a beauty? Like I said, I did not see the whiskers, so I was like, catfish for real? But it did taste like catfish. So I'm like, I think, so I went back to the gentleman yesterday. So I think some people ask me, when you go to Mercado de Mariscos, the fish market, when you get in there, each vendor has their own little stall. And I was telling some of the ladies about him, and they're like, what's the number of this stall? So yesterday I looked, it's 57. So if you're watching from Panama and you want to go get some of that catfish, that's where you get it. All right, so we want some pieces that are not too big, but not too small, right? I see. Whew. And there is a little piece, you know, they have a little bit of bone in here, which is fine because for a soup, you really like to have bone. But I've decided I'm just leaving the meat alone. Even chicken doesn't agree with me at all. So I'm going back to full whole food plant-based, and I'm introducing some seafood, some fish, maybe once a week. The rest of the time, I'm on my own here, trying to find enough protein, you know, chickpeas, green peas, quinoa, yeah. All right, well, I think that's good. That steak gave me enough fish for my soup. And my sister's downstairs, I don't know if you're into fish. But anyway, we were talking about, you know, not worrying about people liking you. I think I was kind of younger, like in my 30s, when I realized I did not crave being liked by people. You like me? Great. You didn't? I kept it moving. Because that, and I'm telling you, this little piece of bone is really hard in that fish. Wow. Okay, so we're going to rinse this with some lime, and then we're going to wash our board. Because remember, if you use meat, you have to clean your board in between. So in that cookbook, I talk about a list of items you need to have in your kitchen. And we start basic with cooking, temperatures, and then we learn how to make broth because, you know, I believe that broth makes your dish. Yes, you can use water if you don't have broth, but, and I'm only going to show vegetable broth because vegetable broth, actually I'm going to show you how to make chicken and beef broth. But because I don't use them, I won't be, you know, spending a little time. But beef broth is good depending on what you're trying to cook. You know, when you make French onion soup, or you're making, what that chicken, cordon bleu, not cordon bleu, what is the chicken that you make with the wine? But anyway, there are some recipes that need that broth. And if you're into chicken, then you're gonna want the chicken broth. I'm hoping to make me some spicy crayfish soup. Ooh, nice. When I get to Panama, crayfish. You find crayfish here? Let me know. But I probably wouldn't be interested in that. I eat fillets. I love the tuna is absolutely amazing here. And then when I poach the tuna, and then you put it on top of that salad to make that niçoise, whew, really good. And I do eat some shrimp sometimes, but not too much because of the cholesterol. So now we're gonna wash the board. I have another smaller board for fruit. So you need to have more than one board. One for meat, clean it, your veggies, and then one for fruit. Because I used to wash this and then cut my fruit, and then it's probably gonna taste like onions and stuff, so you don't want that. And hot water. And then that's the other thing we talk about in my cookbook, that you need to have this underneath your board. It keeps the board from moving, and that is a safety feature. I remember in school, well, we never forgot, but that was the first thing they taught us. Kitchen safety also, right? When you're trying to use those mittens and make sure your pots are turned to the inside. You know, sometimes, especially as we get older, we forget, and people's clothes get caught up in the flame. And I was telling those ladies yesterday in my group that we have explosions here in Panama that are caused by gas leaks in homes. And it's because we have so many high rises here in the city. We had one, the latest explosion was in a place called Tumba Muerto, which is an area, and there was a gas leak, an explosion. It ripped through 2 floors. People were injured. They were in the hospital. One died a week ago, one died yesterday, and another kid is still at the burn unit. So it's dangerous here in Panama. Now, my building is totally electric. You see my stove? It's all electric. All electric. And that's what I wanted. And you can choose to be in a building that's only electric, but the majority of them use gas. And I've never used gas even when I was in the States, so I was okay. And even as a cook, some people are like, greetings from Antigua. Hola, Anthony. Mucho gusto. Finding good. I told you, Nurse Clayton. Are you in Panama? Where are you, Nurse Clayton? We got to meet. I bought, listen. Let's see, where's the other one? I think I tried 3 different chef's knives. Disappointed until I went home and bought one and brought it with me. The struggle is real. Okay? So, talking about the explosion, this is very dangerous here. This is dark soy. I like to put a little bit in my fish. No mucho. But we use quite a bit of soy sauce here in Panama. Of course, I don't because of the sodium content. So I'm always, very cognizant. Now, adobo, I use adobo everywhere, okay? I love adobo. And then I put cumin in everything nowadays. I love the taste. It's not strong, but it kind of balances things out. Pepper. Looking at my squash or pumpkin. Whew. Let's see what else. And because I'm in love with these peppers, I chop like maybe half. But what I love when I'm making soups or stews is just throwing a whole one in there. And it just, the aroma just so good. And of course I try with the red ones because the green ones will turn red soon. Oh, yum. So good. Smells so amazing. Now, I don't make pickles here. Pickles is from my country. We make that. It's like a green seasoning, I guess, in Jamaica, or sofrito in Cuba and Puerto Rico, but a little bit different. Pickles is, we do shredded cabbage. It's a cabbage slaw, and then we put lots of hot pepper in it. Woo. Yeah, you gotta be able to handle your heat. I like a little bit of heat, but not too much. I'm not, you know. All right, let's see. And then we're gonna put the acid. I bought 8 of these little limes for $1 this week. That's what I'm used to. Sometime around the holidays, it's gonna go down to 5. And then that's a little trick. Before you rip into your lime or lemon, roll it to release the juices, okay? Woo. Yes. And even the little thing, the juice presser, it's not the same here. So I just squeeze my hand, and I'm glad that I'm still able to squeeze my fingers. I don't have arthritis, thank God. So, ooh, nice. Now, I love lime juice just as much as I love garlic. Oh, that's what I haven't put in there yet. Ugh. Yum. But anyway, we were talking about not worrying about people liking you. You can't be worried about that, sis. That is just a waste of oxygen. But anyway, I remember I had traveled one time and left. I always travel, even when I own my business. I was like, I'm not going to be attached to this job. I've got self-care. So I would go on little mini vacation and I would leave my staff because, again, that was for me. If I hire, right, then I need to be able to trust you. I don't have to be looking over your shoulder, and I do not like to micromanage. I just don't do that. So I was going away, and I had a supervisor in charge. But you know how when you hire people, and next thing you know, they're putting together, doing little clicks, and just, going to lunch. And when they go to lunch, they spend the whole time talking about you, which, like I said, I don't care. But I left them, and then when I came back, they were like, this nurse was on call, and you pay somebody to be on call, which means if a patient needed something, then the on-call nurse would triage and find if the patient was in need, then they had to make a visit, because that's what being on call was. And I spent my adult life as an owner, manager, being on call 24/7. Because if my nurse didn't respond and the patient, they knew I was the next person in line. And I have gone in the middle of the night to do things as a nurse manager. I always had my lab coat hanging on the back of the door with my nursing bag. I was always on the ready. But then when I came back, they said that this person decided that she wasn't going to go do a visit. And you know how it is in the state. You are liable. And when you are a nurse or you are running a medical practice of some sort, you are responsible for this person. And you know, you got the Morgan and Morgan you had to be worried about who are gonna sue the pants off of you. Yes. And then this is the thing. As a manager, even though the decision that you need to make are tough, but you know you have to make them, right? So if I needed to, I'm doing good, Ruben. Thank you. Oh yes, I love garlic. This is like a, you know, like an old looking cilantro, but I'm gonna chop it and put it in the fish. And you gotta do what you gotta do. You cannot do it for some people and not some others. That's why, you know, you wanna treat everybody equitably. So I called this lady in and she wasn't, we're the same age, but it doesn't matter, I'm your boss, right? So I was saying, well, what happened? She's like, well, I was this with my boyfriend. I didn't want to go all the way over there, but I'm like, that is not what we agreed on. You are exposing the agency to liability, plus you're endangering a patient's health and well-being. So I wasn't going to put up with that at all. Oh my God. She said, well, she was quitting. And I'm like, okay, you know, when you tell me you want to quit, I'm like, yes, please do, because some people I'd rather not have them around. Then, 2 days later, this nurse who I thought was on the up and up, she comes to me, she said, oh, Maggie, I don't know how to tell you this. And I'm like, what is it? You know, I'm strong. I'm like, let me have it. What is it? She said, oh, when so-and-so left, she left a letter for you. I'm like, okay, where is it? She said, oh, it's really not a nice letter. I said, let me have it. And then this woman wrote 2 pages of slander, the vilest, nastiest character attacks on me. She called me up, and of course she was a different skin shade than I am. She just let me have it. And this other person was like so upset and worried that I was gonna feel some kind of way. And I said, she said, oh, Maggie, it's not nice, it's real. I'm like, it's okay. Because that letter did not define me as a person. It reflected on her. First of all, you didn't do your job, and then you are just reacting like that by attacking. You think you're attacking me? What time is it there? It's almost 11 here. So I was like, it's okay. I didn't throw away the letter because I wanted to keep it. So I read it. And I was like, wow. That's what I said, wow. And then I just put it in my somewhere in a folder. And then I think maybe a couple of weeks later, this one who brought me the letter, who was a really good nurse, patients loved her. She said, well, I'm gonna leave too, Maggie. I said, well, is there something I could have done to keep you? No, I'm like, okay, good luck. That's exactly what I say to anybody who wants to say they're leaving. It's almost like they think it's going to affect me personally. And I'm like, no, sis. You do, I always say, do you. Do what is best for you. And that is a, what's the word? This is something, a policy you want to say that you need to have for your life. Don't hang on to people who don't want to be around you. Let them go. You've read that before. Let them go. Because it's God's way of pruning people in your direct, circle. Not everybody needs to be in your circle. You have to be okay with that. And that's why sometimes people stay in relationships that they should have left a long time ago. But now I'm grown. I'm putting some paprika that I can see that. But when you're young, you're just worried, you're afraid. And that's why my mother, as a businesswoman, taught me the value of hard work, of self-reliance. Look how pretty the fish looks, right? And to be able to take care of yourself and not depend on people, on a man, on a job, have multiple skills, have different income sources. If one dries up, you have the other one, and always be creative and You know, when you see someone, they did not come out of the womb looking like that, right? They just learn through the school of hard knocks. All right, I'm going to leave this in here for just 5 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to start getting my veggies in here. So we're going to put the celery, the radishes, the carrots first, and then the potatoes. All the roots are usually going to take longer. But one thing that takes a little bit is that chayote. So I am going to clean that chayote. Ooh, I may not have to use all of it. That's big. I love chayote. And let me tell you, I love this little knife. It's not a paring knife. It came in my bag when I went to culinary school. We had all the knives and all the little, you know, like your spatula and things to break the dough and all that we had. Oh, I love that. Love, love, love that. And I remember finding a place in Orlando that sold kitchen supplies. Ooh, you know, I go there and I'm salivating. I love kitchen and stuff and knife supplies like it's like shoes. I don't care about clothing and stuff like that, but I was like, I love being in a store when I'm looking at gadgets, kitchen gadgets, right? But anyway, so this girl decided to quit because she was following that other one. And I was like, okay, good luck, blessings, God bless you. And that's why I tell everybody who say, well, I'm leaving. And I'm like, blessings, sis. I am blessing you in the name of the Lord, okay? No hard feelings. And if you come tomorrow, you need some help, I'm not going to hire you back. That's another principle. What does chayote taste like? No, it's not spicy. It is very, very mild. It's as mild, like, you know, radishes are kind of peppery, so it's not even like a radish. What do they call this? You know, it's just, it takes on the taste of anything that you are cooking. So it's good for soups and stews, yes. And plus it's good for you, of course. Whew, I'm getting hot again. Maybe it's the speech getting me excited. But do you know that, I think it was maybe 6 months later, I got an email from the second girl. The first one was gone. And she texted me, she sent me a long email apologizing for her behavior. She said, I got caught up with so-and-so, and you know, you're just so nice to us. I felt so bad that I left like that. I'm like, listen, sis, it's okay. Blessings to you. Hopefully you learn from that. But even if she was trying to get back into my good graces, I would not hire her back. No. No. When somebody decides to leave your circle and you say goodbye, God bless you, leave it there. If they need help, you lend a hand. That's what you're supposed to do. But in my circle again, I can't trust you after that. No, ma'am. So I did not. But to this day, you know, if I'm posting something online, she's posting, I'm like, how are you, sis? How's the family? We're good. And like I said, if you need something and it's in my power to help you, I will be there for you. But I cannot have you in my circle again. Nope. So don't worry about people not liking you. Do you know that in some sense, sometimes you have to kind of watch yourself, because some people are just out there darn mean and ugly. There was this little girl, I'll never forget. She was 8, I think she was in her senior year. You know how these kids nowadays are just evil. And that's another thing. I'm just so, I don't know how children can be this evil nowadays. And this little girl went to a party with some of her friends, 18 years old. So many people job seeking nowadays for workers who think they can threaten bosses. Oh yeah. And then it's like, I'm leaving. I'm like, goodbye. And if I had to work myself 24/7, I would do it, but I would not hire her back. And you know, we always need nurses, but nurses are human too, and some of them are downright evil. And you know, there's a question I always ask. Why are women the way we are? Why do we do the things that we do to each other? This is the question, one of the questions that I'm just still pondering. Why the cattiness? Why the meanness? Why the hate on each other? OMG. You know, I tell someone that nowadays my tears are never too far away, because not that I'm depressed, but the human element, the state of humankind, the way they can be so mean, and I don't get it. I'm still struggling with that. All the stuff happening in the world, how the genocide, watching these kids starving to death. Oh my God. You know, we all had babies. You know, when they're hungry, how we are so quick to feed them. But you're basically taking food away from children and starving them to death. I don't get that. I don't get it. So I do get overwhelmed with that a lot. Not somebody liking me, no. But when I know that there's nothing I can do and I watch these children starving, and you have the food, you throw it away, and you know these children are starving, you look at them, no. I don't get it. Sometimes I cry just because I feel so powerless. So if I'm crying over that, I'm not crying, oops. I'm not crying over you saying, oh, this woman, I hate her. Well, she thinks she's all that. I don't like her. I don't cry over that. I cry over these starving children. Yes, I cry over that. And then again, I dry my eyes and I was like, and this is the time I try not to be upset with God, I'm telling you. I sit there and I said, and you are allowing this? I don't understand it. But I have to talk to myself so I don't lose my faith. Right? There's a danger there. Oh, Jesus. It's a lot. It's a lot. All right, so I have my pan here. Whew, Lord help us. Olive oil. Oh, I need to put some onions. Wait. Yeah. That's another thing I love. I have to have onions, ladies and gents. Right? So now we had a bunch of rain here in Panama from Melissa, and a lot of places, a lot of farms are underwater. So things like onions and carrots and anything that grows in the ground, it's gonna be a little pricey. And if you watch my video this week, you know that Panama, we are celebrating patriotic holidays, okay? So whenever you hear holidays or fiestas in Panama, you hear comida, right? Just like us. Every time we have a holiday, we eat. Nothing, no different here. So, oh my gosh. I do get emotional over this. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, I'm gonna turn the oven off because I think my My squash is done. And I'm cutting the onions a little bit on the rough side because this is a soup. Doesn't have to disappear in there, right? Alright, so you're gonna hear my voice and not see me. Bring it down a little bit. Woo. Turning the heat down a bit. And okay, I already had garlic in the fish. I don't have to put more garlic. What I like about the Dutch oven is that it heats more evenly, and I love that. Alright, so you let the onion soften, and that's going to be on the list. I'm going to give you also in my cookbook a list of things that you need to have, you know, the knives and tools of the trade. Not every single piece of equipment, you know, we're not talking about if you are, I'm going to put the fish in, if you're going to bake. I'm not a baker. In fact, I bought some blueberries. I was going to make some blueberry muffin for my security people downstairs. I think I'm going to do it like tomorrow or Wednesday. Woo! Nice. So like I said, we're going to cook the fish and then I'm going to take it out and start putting the veggies in. So I'm working on my carrots still. Oops. And when you are doing the soup, you want to put things a little bit about the same size, right? So everything in the soup is going to be about this size. Because you don't want to have like julienne, like strips, and then dice. No, you don't want to do that. Apio is celery in Espanol. Alright, you know, carrots, you can't ever have too much carrots. So it's carrots and chayote. Like I said, chayote is very mild. So now we are going to do some radishes. I love radishes in soups. And you know, people use them in salads also. I'm not eating them raw, but some people eat them raw. So now I'm gonna look for my paring knife. Alright. This is what we call a paring knife. This is a chef's knife, right? Now this one is part of another set that I had bought. It's kind of in between, and I like this one when I'm cutting things like the squash. Yes, that's good. So this works better for me. You make sure whatever you're cooking that your hand is just about the right size. So we're gonna talk about all that, and then my cookbook is gonna be not just books. I'm gonna also add, you know, when I make something like that, I'm gonna record it. And so I talk to you as I make it, and then I give you the recipe. So this is going to take me a little bit, and I think I'm going to pace myself that I'm not going to be able to put every single recipe in there. Now know that my cookbook is going to be on the healthy side, whole food plant-based with some fish. Yes, I'm going to show you how you can cook a whole chicken, you know, roast chicken, stuff like that. I'm going to show you how to make meatballs, you know, if you want to make spaghetti and meatballs, stuff like that. And then I can always gift them to my friends, those who are eating meat. But I've decided it's not worth it for me to cheat. The price I pay is not worth it. No. Now the catfish is a meaty, hardy fish. So I'm not worried about it falling apart. It's gonna hold itself. And then once I feel like it's almost cooked in here, I'm gonna take it out and then start the soup because I don't want the fish to disappear in here, okay? Even when you're cooking, I see people making chicken soup. They cut the chicken, they put everything together. I do not cook like that. You do it in steps because you don't want everything to become a big old mush. No bueno. So that was our little pep talk today. Don't worry about people liking you. Some people will like you, but most people won't. You have to be okay with that. I do not seek people's approval. I do not. Now that doesn't mean I am, people will say, oh, she thinks she's all that. No. But I am somebody. At 67, I better be somebody. Right? And I have my the way I feel about things. It has nothing to do with you. It's my philosophy. That's why sometimes when I'm watching something online, somebody starts talking, and if you're just going to be, gossiping or saying sweet nothings, trust me, I'm so quick on that, moving that cursor, I'm out. I don't have to waste my time listening to you saying sweet nothing. I want to learn something from you, and hopefully you learn something from me, but we don't have to kind of hang around each other all the time. There are some people, I don't want to be around them. No. All right. So, same thing. Radishes. I don't seek approval. Oh, what I was going to say about that little girl. She went to a party with her little friend. Do you know one of the kids, I'm talking high school kids, one of the kids put, I think, some kind of cleaning something in that little girl's drink. That little girl got sick, was in the hospital on a ventilator, 18 years old. She blew up like a balloon, whatever they put. 18, with a mindset to hurt and kill that little girl. So I'm saying that you can't trust folks what your drinks. And I think it's sad that you have to be at this point that, you can't trust people like that. But let me tell you, I don't know if you remember, I'm talking 20, 30 years ago, that this person was killing people like that. Neighbors and people don't cray. Then you know what I do when I have celery? I cook the leaves. I do not let them go to waste. I don't know if I'm going to put them in my soup today. I'm going to use the spinach instead. But I think one of these. Now, I don't like my celery to be that color. I'm looking for them to be green, but this is not good. But, you know what I do? I save this for my stock. So I don't throw them away. All right. Let's see. Again, we're looking at size. Celery. I don't know. I'll think about it, but I'm saving these. Let me pick another one because I need some more green. I'm picking another, what do you call this? Another stem. You see how this fish is holding itself? It doesn't overcook, right? Look at that. It's holding its shape. And the thing at the bottom here, that's what I don't want to lose. That's taste. Okay? Like when you're cooking chicken, you just pour the water in there for the gravy because you're trying to get, there's a name for it, I can't remember. so this is part of the marinade that was there with the fish. Now, you know what? I'm just going to taste it just because I want to be sure it's got enough salt. All right? Not enough. And I'm going to squeeze some more lime in there. You know, your fish needs quite a little bit of acid. Because I wasn't going to taste that when I put that fish in that marinade. That's raw. Alright. Alright, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put that fish back in there. I don't want to lose any of this good marinade, right? Alright. You're going to take your fish out. I'm going to put it back in this dish. You notice I'm not going to throw the whole thing in there because I want to save the onions and all that good stuff that's at the bottom. So I'm just taking that out. Si, senor. Let me tell you, we have got to find ways to encourage each other. And I hope that when you come here on Sunday, you get encouraged, right? All right, turn this down. Let's rinse these and they're gonna go in. And I got my vegetable broth here. So we're gonna throw that in. Like I said, I see people put the meat and other veggies all at once. I don't cook like that, sorry. Oh, yes, yes, yes. You know, just by doing this, you are seasoning some of that veggies, right? All right. Gonna put veggie broth. I only use veggie broth because when you do veggie broth, you can use it for anything. And of course, I'm gonna I got some water in the kettle. You know, I boil my water and I put it in the pitcher. That's how I drink. So I'm gonna put some of that in there. Looks like maybe a little bit of water, not too much. And I always have my water pitcher up here with boiled water. So if I want to have some tea and I know the water is boiling, it's good. All right, we're gonna let this come to a boil. Bring it up too high. We're gonna cover it while we finish with the rest of the other stuff that we need to put in our soup. And you know me, I'm always cleaning as I go. I can't work in a messy kitchen. No puedo. All right, so that's gonna go in. Oh, we're gonna use one corn that I have left. Ooh, this stuff went bad here on me. No bueno. I usually buy so many veggies that sometimes they go bad before I get to use them. And that hurts me when that happens. But when I go to a farmer's market, I kind of lose my mind there. Ooh. Good catch. We're gonna pour that in here because the corn usually takes a little bit. Now, in true Haitian fashion, we do not put corn in our soup, but this is called Caribbean, and I know they do so in Jamaica. So we put in the corn, but we don't usually put corn in our soup. Oh, and dumpling. I was watching a video yesterday. They put like cornmeal with the flour. We don't do that either. But you know what, sis? We respect and embrace each other's cultures, right? Yes, I know I do. Ooh, some jerk chicken. And I saw this guy from the Caribbean pot. I think he's in somewhere in Canada. And he put that brown sugar in before he, put his meat. We're not doing that. I don't know if I told you, but sugar is not something you need to add in anything. All right, so now I have some of that supposedly green onion. It's halfway between a leek and an onion. So we're gonna use one and we're gonna put it in there. I love green onions, yes. So, and I'm gonna put it a little bit later. I don't think I wanna put it in it now. But this part, I'm gonna put in now because it needs to cook. But the rest of it, we'll put later. Yes. Eat your greens and play with your food. As soon as it starts to boil, I will bring the squash in, and then what I do usually is I'll crush some of that on the side to give it that color, or what you could do is blend a little bit of that squash in the blender and then put it in. You could do it either way. Si se puede. Pretty bowl. I love this thing. But it's such a bright yellow, unless I'm cooking, I have like a salad or something that's gonna give it a little bit of contrast. It's like, yep, that's what I do. I boil my water and then I put it in the pitcher, put it in the fridge, and that's what I eat. I drink. And then I do have the 5-gallon water. When I was here before, I had water delivered to my PH. I think they were like $6.50 a gallon for 5 gallons. They would deliver it. I'm sure it's more now, but that was nice. But I got tired of having to go down and getting the bottle, and you have to return the empty bottle, and it's like too much. So this works for me because it's just me. All right, so now let's finish the rest of our stuff. So you can either do your potatoes like this, or you can use the peeler. But I do either way because I get it really fast. So that doesn't bother me. You get cheese. When I was working at Disney, I was a prep cook. OMG. It's like boxes and bushels and big, what do we call them? Those big, it's like paint containers that we used to do a bunch of things, and then when you come to work, the chef had a list of things that you are responsible for. You know what, one of the things that I love to make was salad dressing. We used to make the raspberry vinaigrette and the Caesar salad dressing. Oh, so good. And I was like, ooh. In fact, I have one recipe from that restaurant for bread pudding. We made the bread pudding and then we made a whiskey sauce. And you put it on there. Ooh, I might do this for my Friendsgiving gathering. But you know, I'm not gonna make it for me because it's like, ooh, too fattening. No puedo. I don't like sweets. I don't like sweet stuff, so. But this morning I had the croissant. Yes, I confess to having the croissant. Remember, only once a month. It was due. I was due. Now, these potatoes are going to cook fast, okay? So, I'm going to put them towards the end. You know, like 5 minutes. Because I don't want the potatoes to be overcooked. No, senor. Nothing overcooked. All right? And potatoes, you got to put them in there. So I'm going to put some water and put a little vinegar because otherwise they're going to oxidize. The air is going to make them turn brown. Oh, no bueno. So whenever you put your potatoes, you cut them ahead, just put them in a water bath and put a little bit of lime juice, and I use vinegar. As long as you have a little acid, you're good to go. All right? Vamos. Then we're gonna do a bouquet garni. We're gonna throw in there. Let's see what else we need. Am I gonna use plantain? I'm gonna use half a plantain. I just don't want a bunch of carbs in there. It's gonna be carb haven. But you know, in a Jamaican or Caribbean soup, yes, they have lots of plantain in there, and usually they use the smaller, not this kind of plantain. It's a different kind of plantain. It's small and thinner. When I was growing up, we had like 4 or 5 types of plantain. And that's all I want. I don't want a lot, so I'm going to put that in there. And where is the malanga? This one. Of course, these, I'm going to cook the whole thing because I don't think I can save them. Get my sweet potato. Same thing. And oh, you did nyame. Like I said, I used nyame the other day, and I made a mash with it, and it was really good. I added some coconut milk, and I put it in that dish, and then I used a mixer. Came out really good. I was like, that's a change. You know, you don't have to have the same thing. Oh, look at the color of this. It looks pinkish. Yes, that's malanga. Malanga. They call it something else here. Look, you see how pink it is? Nurse Clayton, what do you call this in Jamaica? Is this malanga? Would this name be Rue? R-U-E? Which one are you talking about, Greta? Oh, you mean a roux. If you mean R-U-X, that's something different. Maybe we'll make some, what is it again? Oh, shoot. From New Orleans. Gumbo. You use a roux when you make gumbo. You know, I make a nice seafood gumbo, but the thing with gumbo that is not very healthy is that you have to use the butter and then to make the roux while you're burning the flour to chocolatey. Yes. So this is still like potatoes. They're going to be about the same consistency. Yep. So they all go in that water. Oh my God, we used to cook that a lot at my house when I was growing up. Plantain, malunga, yam. That's Caribbean for you right there. But you know, when I was in Ghana, I was driving from Accra, which is the capital, to Cape Coast, which is where you go see the dungeon and the castles. Can you use vegan butter? I'm not a fan of what I don't know what vegan butter is, because butter is made from milk. But vegan, when they try to do something else with, I don't know. I've never used it. I'm not vegan and I don't chase stuff like that. If I can't use real butter, I just don't bother. I think people are using mega doses of cashew and other things to make, I don't know. I've never tried them. And I'm not vegan, so you're not gonna see any, vegan this, vegan sausage, vegan butter. I'm like, it's not butter. If it doesn't have milk, it's not butter. Oh, don't get me started on one of my soapboxes, but to each his own. I am not criticizing anybody. So this is not like Jamaican yam because it's white. Jamaican yam is yellow and it's yummy. All right, so we're gonna peel that again. We used to have machines that help us cut the carrots and stuff at Disney. I tell you, going back in the back of the house in the kitchen, it used to be such a wild place. And I used to ask, I'm like, with so many people with sharp knives, and nobody would be, how in the US you're thinking somebody snapped, they might take a stab at you. We didn't have that, but we had lots of sharp knives. Because every time you come to work, you had to go to the sharpener and sharpen your knives. Because a dull knife was dangerous, we were told. It's better to have a sharp knife. Yeah, you're gonna get cut sometimes, but that's just part of the trade. I remember I had burn marks. The place that I worked at was an Irish restaurant, Raglan Road. So if you ever go to downtown Disney, try Raglan Road, and they have the dancers, that do that river dance. They do it on the stage. Really awesome. That's where I got the recipe for the bread pudding. But the back of the house was just this hopping place. Ooh, there we go. All right. Finally. Ooh. How is that? Let's take that skim off. No bueno. All right, let me take that. And I think putting the, I don't know what you would call these, in the water with the vinegar, I think it takes away a little bit of the wax that tends to be in these. All right, I think that's enough. Oof. Yes, enough of that. All right, now I'm going to put the squash in. Ooh, look how beautiful. All right. Here comes the squash. How do I differentiate between that and the carrots? I should have squashed it before I put it in. Okay. Oof. It's my pretty bowl. I love this little bowl. Squash. You guys okay? You have any other questions? So, you know, there is a Caribbean store I go to in Orlando, Florida, and they have packages of, it will say pumpkin soup mix. Well, you know how I feel about prepackaged food, so I would say do it like this, so you know it's fresh. I don't know what's in that packet. You know they're gonna put something in there I can't pronounce. No bueno. If I can't pronounce it, I shouldn't be putting it in my body. Now, when we make this at home, we do blend part of it in the blender, okay? And then we strain it. So we strain most of it. So it's a little bit thinner, the consistency. So I'd rather do that than using that little packet. I don't know what's in it. You know, I read somewhere, it said if nature didn't make it, you don't eat it. Oh, that's a big word to live by, right? If nature didn't make it, and in my cookbook, you're gonna see, I use herbs for flavor. I don't use any packets, I don't use Maggies, I don't use bouillons. I just don't believe in that anymore. I used to now, don't get me wrong, until I saw the light. You know, I tell you, the stuff I used to teach my kids, I'm embarrassed right now. So many things I used to buy. But they're okay, thank God. I guess I didn't kill them. But I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, we used to give these kids what? I was a nurse. You would think I'd know that. But hey, oh, we got sweet potatoes. Oh my God, will we have room? I think I'm going to leave the sweet potato. That's too much. It's going to be too much stuff in here. So I'm not going to put the sweet potato. Just too much. So I'm putting some of that green onion in here. I'm skimming some of that. You know what I saw one chef do, which I think is a good idea? He cleaned the chicken. He used a lot of, you know, the lime lemon, and then he boiled the chicken for like 5 minutes, and then skimmed all that stuff I'm taking off, and then he used it. I'm like, you know, that's smart. You know, I could always learn from somebody else. So I like that. So he skimmed all this from the chicken before he started his soup. But I don't have chicken in here. I didn't think I needed to do that. All right. I think we're good. Ooh, yes. All right, now it's time for my bouquet. My bouquet is gonna have fresh thyme. The bouquet is like a bunch of herbs that you tie together to give you, oh, and also I need to put a whole habanero in here, remember? Whew, all of it goes in there. And I think I've seen the Jamaican just throw that in there. We don't do it like that where I come from. We wrap them together, and I'm gonna add some bay leaves to this, and then you tie it together. And that's gonna be something that's gonna be in my cookbook, because it is something that really elevates the taste of your dish. All right, So I'm gonna wrap this up and put it in here. And yes, you're gonna need these in your kitchen, okay? When you're making soups and stews, always do a bouquet garni. That is a French word. A garnish bouquet. You garnish with herbs. So could be parsley, or it could be cilantro, fresh thyme. You have to have fresh thyme. And then bay leaves. Voila. And once you're done, you just take the whole thing out. It's a lot more, it's a cleaner process, I think. That's just me, right? All right. So now that ooh, it smells good. Yeah, ooh, this one needed to go. That's part of that green onion. Thought I put it in there because it's a little hearty. Needs to go in here. So now I'm ready to start tasting to see what it tastes like. Doesn't that look good? Yeah, it looks good already. Yeah. Oh, and then we have to make the dumpling. Oh, yes. We're making dumpling in here. And I'm going to make dumpling like I do it simple. Flour, salt, and pepper. Like I said, you see how the color is already good with the squash? That's what you want. Oh, wrong. There. That's better, right? Okay. Wait for my bowl. Greta. Okay. Now remember, these things are going to be like 5-10 minutes, so I don't want to put them too early, okay? And then when it's almost done, that's when I put my dumpling, and I'll show you how I make the dumpling. Easy does it. And they don't take long to cook either. So now, the taste basically is good, but now we're looking for salt. We're looking for, we're gonna put like a little acid at the end. And one for me, because I love turmeric, I add turmeric and everything. And it's gonna help with the color. A little bit of turmeric every day is good, not mega doses because it will kill your liver. This guy said he was going on a health thing and he started thinking, you know, he heard somebody on TV, on social media talking about this mix, and I think he wasn't realizing how much turmeric he was taking in, and then he started getting jaundice and yellow, and the doctor's like, what are you taking? And that's why when I tell people, you go to the doctor, take all your stuff with you, all your supplement and your herbal and all that, because sometimes you are hurting yourself. You're taking too much of a particular thing. All right. Remember, we haven't even put our fish back in. So now we're going to put the Vivienne. Oh, it's not Vivienda. But we're going to put all that in. Oh, I might even not have room for all that. Whew. No, I think that's it. I don't even have room to put all this stuff in. So I'm going to have to find something to do with this. The chicken is going to go in the last 5 minutes when I do the dumplings. So, and then I think for the spinach, I'm not going to put a whole lot. Let me just put the spinach, I'm going to put some of these in. I don't need anything else like that. Yep, all those can go back in. another thing we put in our soup from where I come from is we put cabbage. I think a little cabbage here would look good. How about that? I have a cabbage in here. Yep, the cabbage is gonna cook just like these. Then we're gonna have to leave room for the fish. I'm probably not gonna use all the fish, but I'm gonna put a little bit of my cabbage in here. That's it. Eso es todo. Now the cabbage needs a little bit more time to cook than the spinach. The spinach, like towards the end when it's done. So, and when we do that, we don't just do shreds of the cabbage. We want pieces like that. So we usually rip it by hand. Yes. Look at that, more skimming. You're in my soul. You know that song that Lady Gaga sings with, what's that young man? Bruno Mars. I love that song. She is such a good singer. It's getting there. It's getting there. All right. So we're gonna put that cabbage in, ripped cabbage. Who says you can't put cabbage? I love cabbage. Repollo. Repollo, that's cabbage. All right. No sweet potatoes, no room. All right, I'm gonna show you how we make the dumpling. Easy does it. And, oh, we're gonna do a few pieces of spinach. This is how the spinach comes. Or you can have it in the box. And it's usually cheaper. But here, we just take them off the stem, and I save the stem for stock. I've said that before. Stock is just a bunch of veggies you slow cook, strain, and then save it because it's like, it's flavoring your food. I use stock for everything except white rice. Okay? All right, that's it. That's all we need. You know, you would think that this Dutch oven would hold a lot, but no. Because when we cook at home, we have like these big old pots. That's what we use. Now I'm thinking for my turkey, I won't be able to brine the turkey. I don't have anything deep enough. All right, I think the fish, when I add it, is gonna help with the taste. Because you know, you don't have meat in here, so of course, you kind of challenge with the taste, right? All right, let's rinse this. All right, I put the spinach in here. I'm gonna put the flour in this little thing here. I do not use a lot of flour because I don't bake just because of all the carbs. And remember, I told you I think I'm gluten sensitive, so I don't use flour. So I bought this little thing today in the store. I had a little bit left. So we're gonna put a little bit. The dumpling is gonna help thicken the soup too. So, bueno, bueno, bueno. And we make a little funnel. And then we put a little bit of salted water with some pepper. All right, salt and pepper. Just water, put some salt, and ooh, that's too salty. All right, better. And then we're gonna put some pepper. Then make a little funnel. And then again, I saw the Jamaican chef, you know, they would rest the dough and all that. We don't do all that. Okay? So. We just mix and we roll and we dump in. Burning in my soul. How let me go. Now, of course, who wants, you know, dumpling, rolled dough? That's simple carb. I know I don't, but this is part of the soup. Now, our soup that we make on January 1st, we don't put that in here. We put that in our bouillon, in what we call, it's like a stew. We put it in the stew, but not in the bouillon. Look at that. Así es un dumpling. Así se hace. Your hand, this is your best tool that God has given you. Right? So use it. Ooh, it looks so good. Roll and then shape. Shape, 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 shape. Look your booty. Roll and shape. Right? Roll and shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Get that booty. All right. Done. Now you see how easy that was? Wasn't that easy? You can do this. All right, time to put the fish in. We are getting ready here. Ooh-wee. Oh my goodness. Now you see how I had to we don't have room for a lot of things. Look at that. Oh my God. You got a pot of soup, right? So of course I got to share this. Who can eat all that? All right. Let's see. We're not putting this yet. The spinach. So this is like the last taste. I think it's good. What I did not put in, and that the Jamaicans do, is put a little bit of allspice in here. I'm just gonna put it in. Might give a little bit of taste. We don't use allspice like that, but hey, I am all for increasing the taste of the food, not sage. I'm looking for the, I've been like cumin. I put a lot of albahaca, which is basil, in my food. Dry basil. So good. It's kind of a different, I love fresh basil too, but I only use it when I'm making marinara, right? Ooh, yes. Okay. A little bit more turmeric. Give it a nicer little yellow. You know you're getting the color, but you're getting the benefit of that turmeric. It's a big old pot, so it's not like you're taking a pill full of turmeric, right? Buried in my soul, I run you alone. And of course, whenever I finish cooking, I do what we call monte au beurre. A little bit of butter. Now, if you are vegan, you can use some of the vegan butter somebody asked about. I don't know what vegan butter is, and I don't ever look for it. But I know it assuages people's feeling about not, I guess, eating the animals. I can't relate to that. All right. Whew. Let me see if I need some acid. And I think right now I can go ahead and put some of that. Just give me a nice contrast, a nice little green, and it's gonna cook. And this spinach is a little hardier than the spinach that you're gonna get in that plastic container, right? This is hardy from the earth. The other one, I don't know if it was grown inside or I don't know. But they have the hydro, whatever people, grow plants indoors, and apparently they're healthier. All right. I like the fact that I have broth, that it's not thick. So it's like a soup that's going to feed your soul if you're sick. Make sure you put that corn here early so that it's cooked. All right, let's see. Okay. We need some acid. Okay. Whew. The dumpling needs maybe a couple more minutes because it's flour. Couple more minutes. And I think what I want to do, I'm just going to put a little bit of cornstarch. I just want a little bit of thickness. Cornstarch to the rescue. It saves me more times than I care to mention. It saves the dish. Whew. Give you the consistency that you want. Whoever created this, we cooks like it because it saves the day. Every time. If we're making gumbo and you want the right consistency, oh yes. I make a nice seafood gumbo. I think I'm gonna try that one day. Ooh, but that roux will take you an hour and 15 minutes. See, this is better. This is what I was looking for. So, you have the tools to do what you need to do. to know what you need to do. Okay. All right. Look at this, y'all. Look at this. Oh my goodness. All right, we're gonna take that bouquet garni out. We're gonna throw it out here and leave all that goodness for us. Woo-wee. Yes, perfecto. One little thing. I think I need a little bit of adobo. You know, I have to keep doctoring it. It needs to taste the way I want it to. And then we're gonna do a little bit of Monte au beurre, which is we're gonna glisten it at the end with a little bit of butter. Listen, if I put a little bit of butter in this whole pot, you think that's gonna make me fat? I don't think so. Alrighty. Monte au beurre coming up, and then we're done. That needs to go in the trash. That goes inside. Whew, goes in the trash. Now this is my New Zealand butter, unsalted. This is called, when I went to culinary school and they said, it's called Monte au beurre. I said, oh, I've been doing that forever. I didn't know it had a French name, but it did. Monte au beurre. There is a butter sauce we used to have to make when you made fish. It was a lemon butter sauce. Oh my God, that thing was the hardest thing to make because you put the lemon in there and it would break the butter and it would curdle. We'd have to do it over. Oh my God, the chefs would be so upset. The fish would be ready, but the sauce, we had to make it 3 or 4 times. So it's like, Listen, I went to school for a year, let me tell you, like everything I do in my life, I absolutely loved it. I was the oldest one in the bunch, of course. I'm always the oldest one there. And I remember when we took the cow and we had to learn all the different parts of the cow. Now this soup is challenged because it got no meat. I want you to appreciate that. There's no meat to season this soup, okay? You don't see anybody making soup with fish. If you say you're gonna make fish soup, you make fish soup. But if you're making Caribbean soup, you use chicken or beef. Oxtail is the best in my book, but I'm leaving oxtail alone. Oh yeah. Oh yes. We are ready. I think take a picture. Where's my? We are done. And I think I'm going to turn this off and we're going to use our pretty bowl. But, Connie? All right, so now, if you were like, do you can any of, no, I don't. Hi, Barbara, Lorenetta Clark, hola. Jamaican chef? You mean here in Panama? Yeah, they have some Jamaican chefs. You have 4 different Jamaican restaurants here in Panama City. And I'm sure in Cologne you have more because Cologne is Jamaican, you know, stump ground. All right, so we're gonna plate this soup in our bowl. Make sure we get some corn, some carrots, we got fish. There's a dumpling in there. And got some cabbage. Yep, some potatoes, some plantains. So if you have a cold, you want to get some of that soup and warm your soul. Okay, now when I make sancocho, it doesn't have all that. Sancocho is just simple chicken, it's like a chicken soup with culantro and oregano and yame, of course, the yam. All right. I think that's it. We can serve it with like a couple of slices of lemon wedges. If somebody wants to squeeze some more lemon, people love to squeeze lemon on their. I'm not. Just like chicken, they're always squeezing lemon and lime. It's a cultural thing. And then here, a lot with the fish, they would give you a slice of sour orange. Like I said, that's what they call lemons here. They call limon. I'm like, that's sour orange. Yeah, well. Details, right? So now if you had like some avocado, you could put that in here. But I am not having anything. Those plantains, I'm going to pray to God that I don't, eat too many of them because, oh my goodness, I love them. All right. Aquí vamos. So you can just have that. Now, the other thing you could have with this soup, a lot of people would be like a side of white rice. In Panama, all soups are served with a side of rice. I usually say no gas, yes, because I don't eat rice like that. Even though I say that my umbilical cord was cut with rice because I'm Caribbean, we eat rice all the time. But with this, you only need your spoon, right? You only need a spoon. I see. That's it. All right, guys. So I wanted to christen the Dutch oven, and I did that. We had fun chatting and having this soup. So I already had the croissant today, so I can't have any carbs after that. And this thing is full of carbs. All the yam and the plantain and the potatoes, yeah. But they're all good for you, right? Jamaican chef. We have, what's the first Jamaican restaurant? El Caribe on Via Argentina here in Panama. That's the first one. I was visiting in the 2019-2020. This lady's Jamaican, and she makes an oxtail that's really good, and she said it's her grandmother's recipe. It's really good. So it was the first one. They say she has a new restaurant in Casco Viejo. I'm not going there because all that rice, I don't need it. There's another restaurant in between Ramon Arias, that road, and the other road that ends on Via España and the Via Argentina metro station. There is a restaurant there in a strip mall. I forgot what they call it. And then someone told me they opened and then there is Yaman. They said this guy used to work at El Caribe. He opened his own restaurant in El Carmen. They're all like close to each other in El Carmen. Actually, in the same building where I used to be, Rainbow Tower. Yes, you could see that building from not Via Israel. What's that other road? Via Porras, and that furniture store in there. And if you cross the street, busy street, then it's in there. I went there, and what I had, he made a very nice chickpea thing that's really tasty. So I've only been there one time. So that's 3 Jamaican restaurants. And then someone tell me there's another one in San Francisco next to, what is the guy who's Afro-Panamanian? What is his restaurant name again? Anyway, everybody goes there. He's from Cologne, of course, and he makes, it will come to me. So it's on that same street, like 73rd Street or something like that, but in San Francisco. So we have, that I know of, 4 Jamaican restaurants. I've been to 3 of them. And it's not a place that I would be going to because I'm not eating oxtail, I'm not eating jerk. I can make my own jerk seasoning, and I'm not eating all that rice and peas. So when I went to that one restaurant, I had chickpeas, and in the other one I tried, they had a fish taco that was really good. Because they're seasoned. There's a restaurant here called Mongoose, and everybody, in the other chat, they're like, oh, Mangoo. I said, I went there, I could not stand that. There was no taste to the fish. The fish wasn't seasoned. You got to season your food, guys. All right, so this is our soup. This is our soup that we made while we were chatting and talking. So I will bid you adieu. All right, Greta, I'm waiting for you to send the drone to get your plate. What you cooking, Neurotica? I made some type of Jamaican Caribbean soup with what they call pumpkin and I call squash. All right? And it's a fish. I didn't use any meat. I used fish, so that was a challenge, but that's what I wanted. No meat for me. Oh, my body says nope, no mas. So, all right. Good to see you guys and chatting with you. There were more of you today. I'd appreciate it. Please remember to give the video a thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up. I don't think I'm going to get to 20,000 by the end of the year. I was hoping, but not going to happen. And it's like, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. If the universe says no, then it's okay. So if all of you here who are watching, who are not subscribed, if you subscribe, we're going to get to our goal that much quicker. I'd like to get to 20,000 by December 31st. Can we make that a challenge? Can you invite people to watch and to subscribe? I would appreciate it. I give you lots of free information. Yesterday, I had the live. I talked about Panama, the history, all what's happening here during the month of November. I keep you in the know. So the thing you can do to help me is to either become a member and also subscribe. And it's just a small way of saying we appreciate you. I love you and I appreciate you. And I share my life with you. So, without into the details, someone calling and saying, how much you pay for your rent? And I'm like, that's personal. I'm not going to tell you that on a live. Come on, guys. Come on. All right. God loves you. Oh, it's after 12. So we did 2 hours. Oh, no more. Bye. Gotta go. Bye-bye.